Graduates, walk on. Big up in a nice, clean self. Big up yourself, Dawn. I see you. Thank you so much, Marentia. You're here nice and quick and fast. I'm gonna pin that message. Yes. Hi, Karen. How are you doing? Island Breeze. Yeah, you caught alive. Absolutely. I am back. I know it's going to take a little while for warm up everybody, but remember, as you come, mark yourself present on the register, okay? There is a little bit of a rebrand, so I know that when this live pops up in people's feed, they're going to be like, who the hell is that? A touch of class with HTK is now the new way forward, as opposed to Head Teacher K Speaks. We're moving away from that. It really is about the class of graduates, yes? So we're going to come together. We're going to discuss all the topical trending things with a touch of class, of course. Let's greet everybody that's in a classroom. OS, present and ready. Big up yourself. Stacey McDonald, big up yourself. Rich Venice, big up your nice, clean self. Up and ready. Jay Summer, good afternoon. Karen Thomas, big up yourself, my member. I see you. Right, Norma. Hi, honey. How are you doing? How are you doing? Oh, it's Opal. Hi. Big up yourself, my classmates. Walk one. Look. Let me show my face a little bit. Hey, happy Emancipation Day to Jamaica. You don't know, right? Well, at first, big up our island and say, today is our day to celebrate our emancipation from slavery, right? That's so, right? So, first of all, I'm going to apologize for any background noise. My very noisy family is in the next room and they can't keep themselves quiet. I'm going to tell them some live, so I'm going to know why they make so much noise. But anyway, in the meantime, if you can forgive the background chatter, we're gonna get on with it. All right? Hold on, no, sir. Them are going too bad. 1 second. Right. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what was so funny, but anyway. One Jamaica, you don't know. Today is a special day, and it's so ironic that the day before our emancipation is when we had the big announcement about Vybz Cartel finally doing road him, a touch road him free, right? We saw Jamaican people taking to the streets of downtown, everybody out in the streets, everybody are going with themselves, celebrating Vybz Cartel being released after 13 years of incarceration for an accused, you know what, taking the 3 points off Lizard. Now, what I find very fascinating throughout all of this, and I asked a very important question on my page, and I noticed that a lot of people kind of skip past it and jump to the celebration. That's fine. I like to ask the uncomfortable questions, right? So, had justice been served or not, right? We all know that the whole debacle about Vybz Cartel's incarceration, his trial, his retrial has been a spectacle. An absolute disgrace to the Jamaican justice system. Many mistakes made throughout this investigation process. Much evidence being tainted. Some things going missing. We even had attempted bribery of judiciary members. So, the question that was asked as to whether or not justice has been served is a significant one. There are 2 levels of justice to consider for this. One, justice for Vybz Cartel, in that his case was not handled properly. And then there is also whether or not this justice that has been served tackles what has taken place with Lizard Clive Williams's death. Has that family achieved any justice at all? With the investigations going all over the place, isn't it clear that we still have a family that's left in mourning, that has not received justice at all? And whether or not Cartel is free, does this answer the question about whether or not he's guilty? Something to think about. Let me pick out the other people that were just enter class as I talk. It was your mom's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to your mom. We have got here, girl, so nice. Big up yourself. I see you. Bayesian girl, hi, how are you doing? Linda Bless, good afternoon. Nicole Ellison, thank you so much. I am happy to be back, right? Back in a garrison. Back in the Gaza. So let's address the things that people are afraid to say. Now, I'm going to say this. It is wonderful that the justice system was challenged, that it was clear that there was corruption from the get-go, that things were not handled properly, neither from Miss Llewellyn and her team, nor the police on the scene. A lot of corruption has taken place to set things in a way that led to this man staying in prison as long as he did. That in itself is a huge injustice, not just against Cartel, but against the justice system itself. Because we can no longer say that we have 100% faith in a justice system that will allow such things to take place till it gets to the point of heading to the Court of Appeal and bringing international disfavor on what we are supposed to be doing right in our country. So now you tell me, is this something for us to necessarily be out in the streets celebrating in terms of Vybz Kartel being free? Or is this a win in terms of aligning the judiciary system in the way it's supposed to be? It is a challenge that was met head on by ISAT and his team. It is a win for them. And that's why I said they're laughing all the way to the bank. Because you don't know, so you can't afford them lawyer there again. Right? Price gone up. He's done extremely well, representing what is right. Due processes that should have been followed, being, questioned and interrogated, and bringing to the surface the fact that things were not done properly. All of that is fantastic. Hold on the people. Because I swear to God, I plugged it in. I did. Give me 1 second. I need to turn on the plug. 1 sec. There we go. Right. So all I'm saying is this. Oh yes, Isaac is awesome. He is awesome. What a hell of blunders. Let me not tell you, it's a whole heap of blunders, yes. But Vybz Kartel, what did he represent for the island of Jamaica? What did he represent before he got arrested? Why is it that it was felt that they needed to handle Vybz Kartel this way? People are forgetting that there was a lot of political agenda behind his arrest. Of course, we know there's a whole thing about the accusation of taking the 3 points of that individual, but there's a reason why it was mismanaged and there's a reason why he was kept in for as long as he was kept. Those who are in the know are in the know, right? Vybz Kartel represented a huge threat to the entertainment industry. He had more or less started to dominate the airwaves, both in terms of the shadow economy and the above board economy, because we all know that many times his music was banned, right? He still dominated the dance halls of the streets, and he was getting that international traction. Remember, when he was arrested, he was in the middle of Teacher's Pet, which is a 13-episode reality TV series, very much like Love and Hip Hop and Bad Girls and all of them, something there, right? The man was ahead of his time by far. His creativity could not be questioned and still cannot be questioned because even while in prison, he still released music, right? So that's why I found it a little bit laughable when you had people making comments about the fact that he's going to struggle to rise to the top of dancehall again. He never really stopped doing dancehall, even when it wasn't legal to do so. Questionable again about the system and the fact that he was even allowed to facilitate them kind of recordings and whatever. But the point is that his creativity never ended. And that made him a threat because he was starting to dominate his entire industry himself. He had his own production team, production company, Adija Palmer Entertainment, and he was the one who was basically starting to develop a whole empire. Gaza Empire as a movement was more than just a crew or a gang. It was a force to reckon with in the entertainment industry, and they saw him as a threat. Why aren't we addressing that? Has that threat gone now that they have removed him from incarceration and he seems to be under duress with his health, right? So I'm sure a lot of you know by now that he has an autoimmune disorder, a disease, Graves' disease, which can be life-threatening. Okay. And it's clear even from his physical features that he did not appear himself when he stepped out. When he exited, people were like, oh, I know, Vybz Cartel. That those who were not necessarily keeping abreast with the news. He sounds different, he looks different and everything, but all of these are features of his illness. Okay. And of that, we're very sorry that he had to endure that, especially during the situation that he was in. But that in itself has not stopped him from coming out and partying with his, I think he had his Moscato, the bottle that he had carrying around for the whole time. He was drinking his Moscato and smoking him spliff and go out with himself. You understand? It never stopped anything. And you have to question, I'm like, come on, you're ill. You shouldn't really be drinking all that alcohol and smoking all that. But it really is about his immediate satisfaction and gratification for what is supposed to be a salubrious moment for the average person. But is he taking his illness seriously? I would imagine that he is. And will that have an impact on his ability to deliver in the studio and on stage, as opposed to recording some lyrics and whatever on a cell phone, a burner phone? You understand? Looking refreshed and relaxed. Thank you very much, unapologetically, Stacey. Big up yourself. Good evening, Janet. Good evening. Good afternoon to each and everyone here. My first time here. Absolutely. And happy Emancipation Day. Absolutely. That's why I'm wearing my t-shirt. Happy Emancipation Day. So Vybz Cartel was not he was not considered a great example by the entertainment industry. No matter how we want to spin it that he was great and whatever, the powers that be did not approve of Vybz Cartel, did not approve of his lyrics. They considered him to be a bad example. In fact, there was an entire study done on Vybz Cartel and his influence, where it was determined that he was in fact a negative influence, particularly on the cross-section of teenagers in the island. They considered him to be such a negative influence that his music was a danger to the up-and-coming generations. So once that study was done, a nail was already put in Vybz Cartel's coffin in terms of his career. They did not want him to survive it. They didn't want him to survive it. So regardless of what we're talking about as to whether or not he's guilty, remember I said, we don't know because the evidence was so tainted, it's hard to tell if he was or he wasn't. But I believe that they genuinely would have found any reason to get rid of Cartel. Any reason to get rid of him. Now, him coming out, once again, him sick. Then it's not just about that. He's going to start to build up his ties. He's already started. You notice he's going around and he's making connections with other artists and stuff like that. That's more than just hailing and greeting. That's also about rebuilding his connections in the industry in an effort to restart what was stopped. Do you genuinely believe that the Jamaican entertainment industry is going to facilitate Cartel's return in a way that will put him back in the position as king of dancehall, as it was before? It now got happen. Because, one, they are afraid of his creativity. They are afraid of his creativity. And a whole heap of artists out there afraid. Regardless of his situation, they're afraid. Right? But two, whoever it is that he has offended is still very much out there. Still very much ready to take him out from the limelight and to make him less significant than he is. So really and truly, Vybz Cartel is going to have to watch his back. Now, in terms of a win, in terms of our justice system, I was a little bit like, but look, when the people them a dance up and down out a door. And I was so happy when I heard Wayne speak about it. Watch them a dance up and down out a door because them artists free and the whole of them hungry. Most of them were out there on the streets as some barefoot people that try and make it in a life. And I'm just like, your problems are not solved, even though this is great. And yes, it's a wonderful thing that he's out based on a corrupted system. How has that changed your life at all? How has that changed your standard of living? How has that changed your outlook on life? How has that changed the fate of other people who are currently incarcerated, who has equally passed through that corrupted system without the fan base, without the money to hire the likes of ISAT, without the representation that Adidja Palmer had? Are we going to use this in order to really and truly investigate how things have been done for the nameless and the faceless and the less popular? Are we going to just celebrate this and say, yeah, it's a win for Adidja Palmer, yeah, it showed up our justice system, and then go back to the ways of doing things that were not above board and transparent? Or are we going to use this as a significant step in order to revisit certain cases that were not handled properly? I'm going to watch the space of this situation to see if it is a stepping stone to an improvement in our justice system right across the board, or if we're just going to use it to propel the career of a man who we thought was dealt a heavy hand. Really, it is about how do we develop as Jamaican people from this situation. And I almost can guarantee you that it is going to go quiet. I'm waiting for a cartel and a spice. This is called HK. Love how you're dissecting this case. Big up yourself. I'm just saying to you that when I looked back at Teacher's Pet, because I actually watched episode 1 again today, just for the fun of it. And I looked at the kind of content that it was. It was content creation in its own right. Remember, it was a pay-per-view thing. You had to pay to get your episodes, right? Because them days it wasn't really much about live streaming and stuff like that. We never have no Netflix and all them things. So you had to pay a little money and you get your episodes as them drop, right? One of the episodes that I remember watching in the past was one girl, come on, and she had danced. I think it was one of the twins, them. Yes, remember there was a set of twins, and them twin they did bad like yours. And one of the twin them bent over in front of Cartel with her two leg them up in the ear. And she have one pair of them call it Daisy Dukes, we call it Batty Rider. Right? And then a pair of them there. And she had tick up the bottom and the front right in her face. And that was him having a good caress. And I myself, what the hell? Right? From the very opening scene of episode 1, it was war. The girls were just fighting. But really and truly, in those days, it was shock and horror. But in these days of love and hip hop, Bad Girls Caribbean and all the other bad girls, them, it's become normal reality TV, which is why I said that he was ahead of his time by far, right? It has become normal. We log on to those things. As a matter of fact, one of the first persons that actually started that kind of ratchet TV where there was fighting and brawls online was actually Jerry Springer, right? And it was when them start to fight that we used to get excited. So, it's not strange now that he had that kind of program. And should that program had run now, it would definitely gain a lot of traction. And if I was a part of Vybz Cartel's PR team, I would say resurface those 13 episodes. I don't even know if it went to the full 13, but whatever episodes you have, and start to advertise in order to finish off that series, because that in itself would definitely break the internet. Okay? So that's a bit of free advice, right? But I'm telling you that I watched it, and yes, it was full of raunchy scenes, lots of violence and bad word left, right, and center and all them. Something there. A lot of the principles that came out of that show were definitely against Christian tradition. It was not Christian at all. You know, women were blatantly saying that why do you need to wait in order to secure a man in order for you to be intimate? You can just be intimate from the get-go. That was one of the lines that came out from the Jamaican girl with a little short, how much piece wig with it, the something. And she was saying, listen, I have to wait. As soon as you see the man you want him, run that like a fun that. Right? So all of these things went against the grain of the who's who and the aristocracy of the island. Upper class people, they don't want to hear that. They don't want their children listening to that. And he had a hell of an influence right up to the upper echelons of society. All those kids, they love Vybz Cartel. And as I said, they went and did that study. Now, I'd really like to get to the bottom of that study, exactly how they did the sampling, exactly who they chose as their audience, etc., in order to determine whether or not that study held any water, or if it was done deliberately to taint the masses or the who's who against Vybz Cartel's music, right? Because you know that you can swing a survey or research in any direction you want if you decide to enter into it in a biased way. So, those things have questions behind it. I do love the way you're speaking about this. I salute you, my dear. Big up yourself, Alreen. Yes, I think people are just happy for his freedom due to the injustice. They're not even thinking about the hunger and their situation. And that's exactly, it's funny that you said that, because that's what my husband said. He was like, listen, they're talking about the fact that the people should be thinking about justice. People in a business about no justice. Right now, them do a celebrate them good artists being out. That's all they care about. Nothing else is of significance right now. And they have to just think about immediate satisfaction and gratification. But isn't that what's wrong with our society? We often just think about gratification, immediate needs, and we don't look further down the line in terms of what does this mean for us as a people? Where does this take us? How does it influence the decisions that we make, the way we are treated, our levels of equality and justice within our country? We're not going to think like that because a lot of us, the education that we have does not necessarily go beyond primary, right? So thinking like that is a certain level of depth and understanding of life that is only a privilege for those who have managed to go through the education system and get challenged in their thought processes and have developed critical thinking and analysis. Now, I'm not saying that the uneducated can't do that, but it does take a smaller percentage to challenge certain situations like this than the masses. The majority will not. They'll all be thinking about, oh, Ray, party I go keep. For those of us who sell at these dances, remember got things to Ray, party I go keep, Cartel I go keep dance, me I go have a style, yes, so that's for this. So, certain little things they'll think about. But the majority is just like, we can't wait for the next song. That's all they're gonna be thinking about. We can't wait for the next song. Right? But there's so much more to it than this. Because, like I said, there are so many who have gone through the same corrupted system that are still sat in that squalid prison. And they are not being represented by the likes of ISAT. There is no ISAT there to fight for them. There is nobody there who is going to say, listen, this can't work. We have to look into this case again. We can't just celebrate one person when so much people there. So we say that it not do properly. There's nobody to represent them. And it really is about money. It is about contacts. It is about the fact that these people are not important to the government. It's not important to them. They're not important. Right? Remember, Vybz Cartel always had the power of public influence behind his name. So even though he was in prison for 13 years, the public has never taken their eye off of this case. Even the very artists who went to do performances globally, including Spice, would at any opportunity take to the stage to big up Vybz Cartel and to spread the agenda free Vybz Cartel. So many artists did it. Okay. So he's not like the other suffering prisoners. So all I'm asking of the likes of Isat and his team, this is an amazing win for you. This is an amazing win for your professional profile, your career. It is a, I would imagine, a historical moment, right? Your name has gone down in history as a result of this case. How are you going to use that influence and use that power that you now have to truly overturn the injustices in the system towards those who are not as popular? If it's all going to resort to who can afford to hire you and your team, there are going to be so many who are still silenced, who are still being persecuted unjustly because they have not been represented properly. The investigation processes have not been transparent. There has been corruption. There has been tainted evidence. You know, and this is, to me, the bigger picture. The bigger picture that we have to look forward to. Right now, it's about, listen, bust the champagne and go out with yourself and enjoy life because, hey, it's happened and it's a moment to celebrate. But when the dust settles, I would really like for people to start to really put this into their perspective and to digest this, because there are still many who haven't had this voice, right? So yeah, that was one of the things that did dip on my mind, right? Let me see someone else now. Speak up, my dear truth. Yes, big up yourself. Yes, tap up the like button, people, and bump up the algorithms. You understand? Yes. So I looked at my people in the streets and I was like, look on them are going and stuff, them are dance, them are re, and so many of them still hungry, so many of them still a suffer. And I'm just looking on and thinking, he is literally going to have so many advantages over you guys. And that's great because he's kind of stepping back into his empire, so to speak, not necessarily in the same terms and conditions, but what does it mean for the rest of you, right? It's great to celebrate the moments, but I think that at some point you have to say, how is this going to help the next one that's coming up behind, right? But what caused this in the first place? It was a tampering of the right, exactly. The Denise, it was the fact that the juror was bribed. Yes, that came out. That was one thing. There was also somebody who went missing and presumed to them 3 points have been taken. There is a whole page on Instagram. I'm not going to highlight it, right? But if you Google Clive Williams, Lizard, Google his name, and you are going to come across an Instagram page with only 103 followers, right? I want you to go onto that page. That page has some very inflammatory things against Vybz Cartel. And I don't know if it is somebody who is an ex-Gaza member or if it's one of Lizard's family members or what, but I would say that there is a degree of intelligence behind some of the commentary that's on that page. And what I saw in the comments was actually quite daunting because that person was being sent death threats blatantly in the comments that if they continued typing, they're going to lose their life, right? And I'm saying to myself, why is it that things surrounding Vybz Cartel has to be a case of people being threatened and stuff like that? Why are you silencing people to discuss whether or not he's guilty? Why is there a need for this kind of approach if this man is innocent as you claim? So like I said, the outcome of this trial has not stated or given us any clue as to whether or not he's innocent or guilty, because that was not the basis of him being released, right? So for all you are all celebrating and carrying on about, you could very well be celebrating a criminal in your midst. I'm going to take that back. It could be. It could be that you are celebrating an innocent man, right? I'm saying to you that there has been not enough evidence, good quality evidence provided to prove or disprove the fact. Kayoni, that is your that is your understanding. Fair enough. And I never said he wasn't. I don't believe that it matters because either way, take it, are we supposed to take the law into our own hands and get rid of somebody who we think is? I think you really have got to look at things in terms of what is considered legal and what is considered not, regardless of whether or not he is a bad man, him is a gangster, him is a this, Lizard deserve it. It still does not give anyone the authority to take the law into their own hands and get rid of the person. Bless up HTK, real talk. Can't get enough of discussion. We need more analytical views like yours. Big up yourself, Anthony. I am just saying to us as a people, what are we looking for? What will the freedom gain for Jamaicans? That's how I am looking at it on a bigger picture, on a broader scale. What will the freedom gain for Jamaicans, right? And people, I think that I'm being a bit selfish because I'm not caught up in the moment. I have always been a Vybz Cartel fan to an extent. There were some of his lyrics that I was like, Lord Jesus, no, son, that one is not for me. Like, I'm not into the under the skirt lyrics. Are, you know, the one them where basically purport violence. You know, but I can enjoy it for what it is in terms of a sound of rebellion, because we have this tendency as cultural advocates to romanticize the lyrics that come out of our artists. And so it not really mean that. It's a lyrical warfare. It's not a real warfare. What him say, you know, him a go bust up bullets, a lyrical bullets. Right, but really and truly, people, I think that's a whole crock of BS. Some of us well and know said that a lot of these artists sing about their real life experiences and things that even if they are not taking the lead on it, it's things they have observed in their environment. It is not a strange thing in the garrison for there to be illegal firearms locked under, you know, some phone code under our rock. Somebody has a lock it off around this. This is a normal thing, okay? It is a normal thing. So when they're singing about rising up the whatever and going to hang a business, they may not be doing that themselves, but it doesn't mean that they're not privy to that experience and that they haven't seen this kind of thing take place. So they are actually perpetrating a reality, an alternate reality to Jamaican society that's born out of poverty, struggle, and strife. And they're taking that experiences and those experiences and turning it into something phenomenal, which is dancehall culture. So in a sense, there is a win because that kind of method of using your experience can take you out of poverty and hardship and allow you to lift up the fellow man that is behind you so they don't have to be on the streets. So for all of that, we can celebrate that type of music and give it the power that it needs to have in order for it to do this job. But when they are singing those lyrics and still living that lifestyle and getting paid for it, it's a certain degree of foolishness, right? Because you had the opportunity to exit that. Why are you still mixing and mingling in that kind of mindset and environment and still going back to that kind of lifestyle when actually you have the avenue to take you away from it? A lot of them don't know when to walk away in the dancehall industry. So instead of using it to leave, them use it, them stay, and them use it and build again. You understand? Which in itself is not great. What's your favorite Vybz Cartel song? I don't even think I have one favorite one. I like so many. So I'm not gonna say. This case will be well studied so it doesn't occur again. And I genuinely hope that, Denise. I genuinely hope that. I hope that it is studied so that it doesn't happen again. But as I said, you know, is it going to be to the advantage of the minority who are in power to have several other cases dug up and realize that, and they're made to face the fact that there's a lot of injustice going on, or are they just going to forget the ones that are already incarcerated and going forward we shall do things this way? You see what I'm saying? To save face. Because, you know, saying in Jamaica, a lot of it is about saving face and so that they don't receive a lot of criticism, particularly those people who are in power, right? So, yes. I looked at the you know, some of the lyrics and stuff of Vybz Cartel, and Obviously, in those days, they were considered to be outrageous. But when I listen to the lyrics of other artists, current artists now, Vybz Cartel lyrics were mild, you know. Yeah. Some of the things that the artists them are sing about now, including things like popping Molly, right? And it's it's a different level. That's slackness, right? Some of the things I hear about how men sing towards women, at least Vybz Cartel, it may have been sexually very outlandish in terms of outrageous and out there, but it was about man romancing woman, right? And it was about intimacy between men and women. And I think the most outrageous thing that he ever sang about was the oral part. That's it. Right. But here you have people that talk about grab people in them throat and spit in them mouth and bust in their nose and come on. Right. So whatever it is that Cartel was singing about them times, they know things get a lot more extreme. The young artists them over here so not take no check in Jamaica, the things and when them say what we consider to be slackness, are more than slackness, a sin in a lyrics, right? So when you listen to them and you listen to what Cartel used to sing about, he's mild. He is mild in comparison to what's out here now. You understand? He's mild in comparison to what's out here now. It was crazy because I remember sometimes when I was listening to Cartel in front of my mother, I could have listened to certain lyrics and so and I rarely had to skip. Yeah, because you know there was always a censored version. Skip. You see, when I'm listening to dancehall now in front of my kids, I am literally skipping every other track. Every other track. It just gets outrageous. I'm just like, oh Jesus. No. You understand? So Cartel, he has a place, I think. He's gonna have to find his place again. Him have to find him place again. And it is going to take a while for him to get there. Because there are people out there now who are bracing themselves to fight for the positions that they now have, right? He always declared himself the king of dancehall. So, you know, say, once a man said that he is this, him going to come back with a vengeance to try to get there, providing that his health will allow him to do that. I encourage Vybz Cartel to actually look after his health as priority, right? Get himself to a stable stage where he can then do road and do tours and all of that. Right now, I know that he must have so many interviews lined up, so many people wanting to hear his story, both locally and internationally. That in itself is going to pay him a pretty penny. As I said, he can rise back up that series because that series will sell right off. And it fits the current environment in terms of trending popular culture TV, right? So you can go for it. But artists out there are nervous because one thing with Vybz Cartel is that when he gets a flow, it's literally a new song every week. Literally. And if he gets back to that, it will only be a matter of time where many will be dethroned from where they think they are. We do not have any kind of doubt that this man is capable of getting there again. But my main concern is this. Is he going to up the ante in terms of the content, the quality of his lyrics? Is he going to have a positive influence on dancehall and take it away from certain things that are really, as I said, sinful stuff, right? And give it some level of ethics and morals again? Is he going to make the thing more corrupt, right? And then put him yet again against the who's who of society who thinks that he's negatively influencing the youth? Is he going to move away from the criminal elements around him? Because I'm not saying that he was a criminal. I'm saying that there were those around him that were known criminals. You have admitted it yourself in the audience. You have said that, hey, but Lizard is a known killer. So if he's a known killer, what am I do around the artist? You see what I'm saying? Don't mix and mingle with such types. Keep your thing above board. Trust and believe, Vybz Cartel, you are going to be under the microscope. People are going to be watching you. Do you remember this? Hang on a minute. I'm going to show you something, guys. I wonder if you remember this. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on there. See if you guys remember this video. Hold on there. I just share one something we don't know. All right, hold on. I'm going to show you this. Let me see if we can share my screen. Let me share my screen. Hold on. You guys remember this? This is Young Vybz Cartel. When thumbs up if you can see this on your screen, please, people. Thumbs up if you can see this on your screen. Right? The Young Vybz Cartel and the clash that he had with Buju Banton. If you remember this, put your thumbs up if you remember this, because trust me, I thought that they were gonna war on the stage, and look what Mr. Cartel give him. Hey, thumbs up if you can see my screen, please, and thank you. All right. Remember, I'm sick. Yes, I'm sick, but you stay there. It never ended sick. When you let go the song, them in a prison to my love. Him did sick. Good afternoon, HGK. Yes, welcome back. Oh, you missed me. I missed you guys too. Those young artists look up to Cartel. That is the reason they're like this nowadays. And I don't love these gun lyrics plus these nasty songs. Some of these female artists singing not good. Yeah, Irene. Look on what's your name, Shenzia's song and Hit and Run. Yeah? It's so catchy. I myself find myself singing the damn thing, right? Because it is such a catchy song. But when I sit and really analyze the lyrics of Hit and Run is pure nastiness, you know, people. I want to see little girls on TikTok and little kids on TikTok doing little pretend duets, you know, where they're miming to the song. I'm like, I wonder if they know that they're talking about basically one night stands or sexual exchanges that are transactional. I wonder if they realize that it's transactional sexual experiences they're talking about, that they're exchanging their bodies for gratification that is temporary with no emotional investment attached. I wonder if they know is that them are actually perpetrate for the youth them to walk away with as an ethic. So no longer a family-oriented vibe, but a hit and run vibe. But anyway, wanna watch this? Tell me if you wanna see this. Listen again.
So I said, go on to my days here, but we can do it without that course. Look at the guys, look at this is great, but we can turn time to it, no, to the church, you know.
All right. So if you watch the dynamics of that video, you would have seen clearly what happened. Vybz Kartel, that's the young Vybz Kartel before him get popular, before he was a young artist. You see, him not bleach yet. Him dark skin. You understand? And he came on and he was singing alongside. You can see a Bounty Killer they are bringing, right? But in doing his DJing, Buju Banton then usurped the microphone from him forcefully, right? And you can see that in him humble self, him just hold that and him not bother argue, him just keep it to himself and whatever. And Bounty Killer addressed the situation and said, listen, we have to set an example and whatever. But you can clearly see there was a tension. Now, on that same Instagram page that I'm talking to you about, some of the commentary under that was that it was suspected that there was a huge feud between these two as a result of this to this day. And that he wanted to take Buju Banton's 3 points as a result of it. Now, I don't know if this is true. Obviously, there is the street and then there is, Wagoso and Wanegoso, right? 1 year Goso. But just to show you how extreme some of the tensions can become in dancehall, that it doesn't just necessarily cross over on the stage when they interact, but it can cross over into everyday life. And as much as we try to portray that lyrics are lyrics and music is music, we are being hypocritical because we are pretending as though a lot of these things that happen on the stage, a lot of these lyrics that are said and recorded actually does not translate to real life situations, right? So I'm saying, how responsible will Vybz Kartel be when he re-enters the music industry? How is he going to turn all of the negativity that was surrounding his name into a positive that will benefit not just himself, because remember, he was already on a path of self-gratification before he got arrested. Not just himself, but also the wider Jamaican society, the youth that are coming up, the young artists that are looking up to Cartel. How is he going to influence these people to actually make a difference in dancehall? Will there be a positive change? Is there something to look forward to, or is it going to be the same old slackness, violence, humdrum, whatever, all over again? At some point, he's got to know that he has gone through a persecution for a reason. And it's not just about whether or not he was guilty, but also the fact that many in positions of power did not want to see Cartel rise. Didn't want to see him rise at all. He stopped a lot of food. And with his creativity, he can do that again, providing he hasn't lost it. Remember, he has to now go through a whole emotional purging, a whole mental health check and balance for himself. Because being incarcerated in a Jamaican prison, hello, that's not why easy something for go through. And I don't know if some of you have even seen those who have been brave enough to go up on TikTok from prison, right? And see the kind of environment with them in a prison. I don't want an easy place. And that kind of situation is going to provide you with a lot of trauma. He has to go through all of that. No, sister, I'm not touch on him personal life. I'm not talk about Shorty and the wife, okay, handle this part with a touch of class. I'm really trying. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying. So the wife, that's bad boy. Right. So this wife who's got to stick by him, who's got to show him, all the support and everything that the strong Black woman that Shorty was did, even though things went how it went left. I truly hope that whatever it is that she stands for beside him will be something positive and that it's not another Becky situation. And we've seen those before, where they come around for the glory and not the story, right? But as I said, I really wish them the best. I truly hope he's making sensible decisions. I don't like the little clips that have been coming out recently. They're a bit cringe and garish. I mean, I don't think anybody needs to see the kissing and the riri. Nobody's interested in all of that. What your fans are waiting on is for you to give an indication of what your next move is professionally. Your personal life, you need to keep that under wraps because that's the kind of thing that puts you under investigation in the first place. You know, just knowing your boundaries. And I don't know what PR team is in charge of Cartel now, but he definitely needs one. Because what's coming out of his in terms of promotional material on his social media platforms is making him look like it anyway. Put him back to the level that he's supposed to be at, I beg, right? Before it carries on. Yes, we're not interested in any road crash presentation on social media from Vybz Kartel. Let's see him taking time to heal. Yes, taking time to go back to the studio if he intends on doing that, taking time to do interviews, etc., to share his story. But I'm little get a fabulous nonsense, bottles and spliffs and Gucci shoes, and there's enough of all that. That's for his personal self-gratification. And if he has a personal profile with just his family, that's for that. Public don't need no more of that, right? No. He needs good PR. His wife might help him. Opa. That little girl. Anyway, as I said, there are people who are gurus in the industry that can already see where this is going. I've had some discussions with big top promoters already, just off air, and they're just like, who's managing this? Because it not look right. But let's see where this goes, right? Let's see where this goes. You don't want the man out here making a fool of himself after going through such a phenomenal thing, such a phenomenal feat, right? You don't want people, because the masses are very fickle. You got to remember this. The masses are very fickle. Right now, it's all Ray, cartel free, Ray, cartel this, cartel that, and all of that. And then he starts to not show an upward path of success and growth. And then you're going to hear, I'm sinner riding. Yeah. A long time being guilty, and the guiltiness, a lizard adopted upon him. Yes. It's only a matter of time. This is how people are. It goes from one extreme to the other. Well, gone fast. Without apology. Right? So start to make he should move to Ghana. Hey, listen, Sky. That's another thing we had spoken about. The fact that is he gonna be safe? Show off my Shorty, you can't. Let me tell you something. You never see Shorty in a party. You never see Shorty. I look good in at the party and I do her thing in at the party. Shorty did not care one bit, or at least she gave that impression. She said very clearly that man no done pan her, it's over pan pink wall. You understand? But I think at the end of the day, even that in itself, it can add to the whole buzz. But is that the buzz that you're going for? Right? It can. So maybe you should watch Content Masters this evening at 3 p.m. Jamaica time. Is that, Rowena, an advert that you have just allowed me to speak? Minute ear, it might advertise me, you know. Rowena, I don't hear. I start to advertise me. All right. So now put no advert in my comment. I said, don't advertise me. Yeah, a joke. Yeah, man, go watch it. Watch it, because he's no doubt going to talk about it. He's going to talk about possibly what the trial meant to him, how the trial affects Cartel and whatever. I'm not certain how much he can speak on in terms of his next moves in the industry. I don't know how much input he has there. But hopefully we'll get an inkling, an idea of what's next for Vybz Kartel, right? Yeah, just saying, it's possible, but it looked so, it wasn't sexy, I'm sorry. It wasn't. For one thing, he looks old enough to be your dad, and it's never, no, still, no, it didn't give, it wasn't given. It wasn't giving, in my opinion, right? It wasn't giving. So every action cause a reaction. She had to do a comeback. I believe she's hurt. Oh, probably Rich. I mean, this is the woman that stood by him throughout his beginnings to his peak point and even to his lowest, you know, and that should count for something. It should count for some degree of respect and acknowledgement. You understand? You right, Kelsey, you are arriving when I'm about to go, my girl, right? So you know, it has to count for something, and I think there are people who are always going to respect Shorty for what she did for the time that she did it, right? Some people are going to be angry at her and say, "I'm good. Look, how you go and let the man. I know the man free and as though people are not free to move on at any given point in any relationship. Relationship is not prison sentence, and she never in a prison indeed, right? And I think we also have to respect people's wishes to move on without condemnation. So I'm not condemning Shorty for her decisions, nor am I condemning Vybz Cartel for picking up his Eurocentric wife, right? If that's what he wants and that's what makes his clock tick, then by all means, you know. But let's just hope that it is a sensible decision and not one born out of pure superficial physicality, and that there's a lot more depth to it, because there was definitely depth and grit to the relationship he had with Shorty, right? You could see that it was a case of ride or die for a period of time. And some respect has to be given to her for that, right? This young lady has not yet proven herself. She has come along at a point where he was very nearly at the end of his incarceration. She looks like a trophy wife. People are going to criticize her as that, and that is public opinion. She looks like a trophy wife. She does not look like one that is there as a ride or die. She looks like she could have been there for the hype, the opportunity. But only time will tell. Okay? Only time will tell. And you don't know. You know, we Caribbean women, we're very protective of our men as much as we cuss them. Right? We are very protective of them. So fingers crossed for Vybz Cartel. I truly hope that, you know, whatever he does, it will be a path of success and not another one that is going to, you know, create negative publicity around his name. Okay. I also hope that he tries to keep himself safe. And yeah, do look into if he doesn't feel safe, he possibly will have to look into migrating, but fingers crossed it doesn't have to get like that. All right. All right. Big up on a nice clean stuff, graduates. Thank you so much for coming out, right? To a touch of class with HTK. You guys have been brilliant. And it's so good to be back on YouTube, chatting with you guys, my graduates. Big up on a nice clean stuff. Make sure you want to like up the live on and away out. And I hope you have enjoyed the discussion. All right. Big up yourself. This is your girl, Head Teacher K. Bye-bye.